In today's episode, we welcome back Jeffrey Allen, who is a very well-known energy healer and has brought this important work of working with our own energy, shifting and expanding our energy to millions of people. In today's episode, we go profoundly deep. We dive deep into how you can shift your energy when you're experiencing fear, especially when you're scrolling on social media, when you're listening or reading the news and you're feeling anxiety, you're experiencing fear about the state of the world, you're experiencing uncertainty. How can you work with your energy in the most powerful way in the moments where it matters the most? We also go deep into how you can shift when you feel stuck energetically in any area of your life, whether it's relationships, whether it's manifesting abundance, attracting a conscious partner. How can you get unstuck, so to speak? And there are many golden nuggets here because there's so many spiritual traps where our ego interferes with our journey. You can be highly conscious and deep on the journey, and yet I know there will be so many powerful golden nuggets for you there. We also go deep into how you can communicate with spirit guides. What does that even mean? What is the difference between a ghost? Are there dark, evil entities? Do they hijack people's consciousness? Today, we really talked about so many different, extremely important topics. And then we go full circle and talk at the end about what is most important for us to focus on right now in our journey. And this applies to every single soul. If you haven't yet subscribed to the show, I invite you to do so you never miss the next episode. Thank you for being here. Jeffrey, what I want to dive into straight here, which I believe is really important and will speak to so many listeners and viewers, is that we're constantly bombarded with so much information. I'd say more than ever. Much of it is negative and feels perhaps even threatening to our nervous system and also even our sense of identity. Algorithms are becoming increasingly sophisticated at hijacking our attention and causing emotional reactivity from us ultimately. From your perspective, how do we remain sovereign? How do we protect our energy?
A couple of things. So one is just being aware that of all the information that's coming in. First, you want to know that this is not representative of everything as a whole. So the stuff that gets through is usually kind of the loudest, the noisiest, sometimes the most disturbing or eye-catching. The things that get your attention. And so if you're in a position where you're feeling like, I'm really depressed by what I'm all this information that's coming in, or I'm feeling like my energy is drained by all this information coming in, the first thing you want to do is kind of, rather than shutting down, which is kind of our natural reaction to do it, is you want to actually expand. So you want to say, okay, I'm just going to take a moment. I'm going to kind of go within, kind of calm myself. Could be anywhere. You could just be, if you're at work, maybe just go in and wash your hands, do something to kind of get away from the noise for a moment. And then instead of contracting your senses and your awareness, let it expand. So what's beyond this noise? What's beyond this message that I'm hearing that things are terrible, or beyond this conflict that I'm seeing? And as soon as you ask that question, what'll happen is your energy focus, which is kind of tightly focused on the information that's being sent to you, the information that somebody wants you to focus on, and your attention, when you say what is beyond that, sort of opens up, and you start to see, there's a lot of other stuff happening too. If it's a particular situation, like if there's a conflict or a war going on, for me, when I open up and say, what's beyond this? What's beyond this message? I start to notice, there's people, right? There's people in these countries. There's people in this government or in this organization. And these people have families. These people have hearts. They have lives. They laugh. They do things. Suddenly, when you start noticing it's just people behind things, already kind of the temperature goes down. You start to notice, maybe I'm not so different. Start noticing the similarities. So that's the first thing I'd recommend. Instead of closing down, you actually want to open up to the broader picture and the broader message. Because, when I do that, what I've seen energetically is that there's a much brighter and more beautiful picture or reality in the world than the little messages that we're getting through social media and the news and so on. So that's the first thing. Second thing, if you're feeling like you do need to kind of protect yourself, if you're feeling disturbed, you can always just imagine kind of, we have one right here. There's a tool from my duality class that I teach. This one actually came out of many teachings, came from Louis Bostwick originally back in a Berkeley Psych Institute. And so you just kind of imagine that there's a rose about arm's length in front of you, and you're just giving permission for you to have this space between you and the rose. So basically, I would say, I have permission, I have 100% permission to have this space between the rose and my body, just for me. I don't have to have anybody else's information or energy or ideas or goals in that area. This is just for me. And I'm going to give permission for everybody else to have all the rest of the space in the universe. So all I really need is this space around me, my aura, my energy field. I want that to be clean for me, but everything else is okay. And so instead of going from a place of resistance and fighting and trying to protect yourself in some way, you want to use this idea of permission, and it's just much more powerful. And this little, you can imagine with somebody that comes up, if there's somebody you have conflict with, you can just visualize a rose, or just it could be just a little bubble. If a rose is hard to visualize, just imagine a little bubble between you and them. And again, just with that idea that I give myself permission to have this space between this bubble and myself, and then I give you permission to have all the rest of the space in the universe. And that's like a really generous offer. Most people will take that offer. It's very generous rather than very kind of restricted and tight.
It's very profound. About your first point that you made, would you say that anyone who is doom scrolling or seeing negative messages and they're feeling this activation inside themselves, they're feeling I need to protect myself, everything is falling apart, collapsing, it's kind of a death is near experience, a fear of death, not a meditation about death, would you say that in that moment we're not aware of the bigger picture of what's actually happening? We're only seeing through the lens of a specific negative news in that moment.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if there was a photograph, right? So the message that you're getting is like, just imagine a little photograph of whatever social media you're seeing or whatever internet thing you're seeing or the news. If it's right in front of your face like this, then, everywhere you look, it's like, oh, this is real, this is real, this is real, this is really scary. Oh no, it's real up here too, it's real over here, like everywhere it's real. But when you start to like give yourself a little space, what's beyond that? What you're doing is you're kind of pushing this information back, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of situations happening. It's not just this one thing that was overwhelming my senses. So I just kind of push it back, get a little distance, then pretty soon you'll be like, actually that's not even important. It's just one tiny little sliver of information.
That's profound. And when you said about feeling into other people's hearts, for instance, when I heard that, I could immediately feel a relaxation. What is that when we feel into other people? What's happening to our energy then? Because I feel this at an embodied level when you speak about it, but can you shine more light on that?
Yeah, what's happening there? Well, a couple of things. So definitely when you're connecting with people in that way, it's not just something that you're visualizing in your mind or kind of imagining. What's happening is you're coming into coherence with these other people. So all of us, I like to think of it like, think of our body like a guitar, right? So it's if you had two guitars, in the same tuning, and you pick one up and you start, plucking one of the strings, you'll notice that the other guitar also vibrates. Even though you're not touching it, you're not playing it, right? Same thing, we've got a harp at our house. My wife likes to play the harp. And if I'm sitting next to it eating dinner and I happen to like cough or something, you'll hear the harp go, wah, even though I'm not touching it, right? And people are the same way. Energetically, our bodies are like, if you talk about the chakras, it's like a bunch of microphones and speakers all together. So we're always picking up, the frequencies of others in our body. If you're feeling sad, you might ask yourself, am I feeling sad or am I feeling sadness? So if I'm feeling sad, that's like I've identified with it and I'm sad. But if I notice, actually, I'm feeling sadness, then the next question would be, is it mine? Actually, it's not mine. I feel it deeply. I feel this sadness, but it's actually not mine. Oh, interesting. So that means I don't need to do something to fix it. I don't need to ask why it's there. But all of a sudden I go right to compassion, like, oh, somebody else is circulating this energy of sadness. And I'm picking it up because I'm sensitive. I'm human and they're human. So automatically we're feeling, I'm feeling the same thing as them. So in this bigger picture, when you're tuning into people and kind of noticing them, even at a great distance, the same thing is happening. The same thing you're noticing. Like I said, oh, there's people behind that government or behind that organization, and those people have families and they have kids and they have parents, and all of a sudden you start noticing, oh, they're not just a scary name or a scary photo. They're a human, and you're going into resonance with them and noticing that, oh, we're actually quite similar, probably in a lot of beautiful ways, rather than focusing on, the one little place where like we're very different and then going, help, 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 we're different, it's scary, it's terrible.
And what you said about I'm feeling sad or feeling sadness, I suppose the same applies also to a fear narrative, for instance. If someone sees any kind of fear narrative, and they might say, I'm feeling fear, but actually they might be actually feeling the fear of someone else's narrative.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, am I afraid? Or is there just an energy of fear that's circulating? And because my body responds to that, I'm identifying with it and saying, ooh, now I'm afraid. So instead, you just do that same thing. Say, oh, am I afraid or am I feeling the energy of fear? Is the energy of fear circulating through me? When you start to see the world from an energy perspective, it's really interesting. You notice like, oh yeah, my body is this sensitive, beautiful instrument, picking up all kinds of emotions and thoughts and feelings from everybody. And if I identify it all as me, if I don't understand that I'm resonating with other people, it can feel very overwhelming. But once you get that, it's kind of fun, actually. Like, ooh, there's fear circulating here. I wonder what that's about. I'm curious. I want to find out more, And then, hey, maybe I can even help.
And in that moment, there is already a sense of detachment and space, isn't there? The moment we say there is fear circulating rather than I am experiencing fear or I am fearful.
Yeah, it's expansion. But it's not expansion. Sometimes people think of expansion like I'm somehow getting bigger or broader or like my energy is expanding in some way. That could be true. But really what the goal is just my awareness is expanding. I'm aware of more information, more connection. I'm seeing a broader perspective. I'm not focused on just some tiny detail here.
Something else I wanted to ask you is that we see many spiritually highly intelligent people who are deeply committed to their spiritual journey. And often there's this one area, or maybe two areas, where they somehow feel stuck. They're doing so much work, but in this one area, whether it's relationship or manifesting a conscious partner or their purpose or whatever it is, there's this one area where they feel stuck. And they seem to feel unable to shift their reality. What would you say is the most common reason for that?
Boy, there's lots of reasons. The one that pops up when you're talking. So maybe if you're listening to us here, maybe you'll relate to this. As we're moving along kind of our spiritual personal growth path, when we start feeling like we're making some progress, like I'm sort of aligned up my actions with my inner goals and my true desires, and I feel like I'm living from my heart and like I'm feeling very kind of successful in this way. What we notice is that like in that state, I speak for myself, because I'm feeling like, oh, this new me is really amazing. This new me is a lot better than the old me. Suddenly I'm setting up this judgment, right? So the old me was kind of like lame because it didn't do the things the new me is doing. Now I'm good. So before I must have been like less good or bad in some way. This is kind of the root of the energy. But what we see is that'll project out onto everybody else. So that's why you see people that are doing really great in their growth, in their personal growth, but they become very self-righteous. So and we see that. I mention this because this is happening to a lot of us. I've been through it myself. I see everybody going through it, where at some point you start noticing, oh, I'm judging everybody who isn't like me. Like, oh, that person is not exercising like I am now. Like I was out of shape and then I got into shape, and now people that were out of shape, that are out of shape now somehow are less than me. So I'm judging those people. Or maybe it's about foods, but I changed my diet. Now I'm living in a way that feels healthy to me. So everybody not eating like me, there's something wrong with them. Or, oh, I'm meditating now. I didn't used to meditate. So if you're not meditating like me, there's something wrong with you. Right? And so I mention it because it's not only is it common, but it's something that's almost always overlooked. We see it in other people. Like we see like, oh, that person is just so judgmental and so fixated on that, but we just can't see it in ourselves often because we all think we're right. And so, and like I said, energetically, it's not really about those other people. It's not about uh, judging or blaming those other people. It's actually about myself. And I haven't got to the point yet then of saying, I really love who I'm becoming and I love who I was too. It was totally okay that I was, a year ago I was in a different place. 10 years ago, I was 10 years younger and maybe not as learned as I am now. And, like all the things that, every step along the way was just fine. And when you can get to that space, you notice that, oh, the people around me are all okay too, even though they're different than me, even though they're doing things that I've learned to do differently, still okay.
And we're judging ourselves, aren't we? When we judge others.
Yeah. Well, that's where it's coming from. That's the energy behind it has to do with us, right? So on the surface, if you look at it, yeah, we're just judging all the people around us. But it's particularly funny, for like me. I was teaching energy work, and people relate that to spirituality, even though I don't know, energy work is just energy work, right? It just has to do with how things are moving, kind of the bigger picture. And but it's a little hard to explain and validate with science, so we kind of group it in with spirituality, and it kind of seems to fit there. But I didn't call myself this, but you'd see after my name, like Jeffrey Allen, spiritual teacher and energy healer. And I'm like, what happened? When did I become a spiritual teacher? and, and then I would look around, I'm like, if you knew what was really going on inside my head, you'd see that a lot of times I see somebody and I have a little snap judgment. I'll be like, oh, that person's really whatever, whatever the label is. And I started noticing it because people are expecting more from me. And I'm like, okay, something's funny here, right? Something's funny. If my vibration is high and I'm doing all these great things, how can I also be really self-righteous and judgmental? And that's when I started noticing this pattern in other people too. And my wife Usami helped me see it and get some clarity around the details of the energy. And so it's a really fun one because once you see it, it's really easy to shift to amusement, to just kind of laugh at myself and go, got it, okay. Then everything kind of softens. And then the people that I feel are judgmental toward me, suddenly I'm not so reactive to that anymore because I realize, oh, they're just doing the same thing I'm doing about a different issue or the other side of the same issue. And we're all working through this ability to love ourselves at any state rather than having to achieve some perfect way of being, eating, thinking, talking, working, being in relationships and so on.
And could this even be connected to self-sabotage in a way? So let's say I'm trying to step into a new identity, but I'm shaming my old identity. And I'm saying that part is bad, that part is wrong, and should have never been there, and it's unacceptable. Is there a correlation then between people falling back into that old identity, so to speak?
Yeah, well, I'd say there's energetically, nothing's changed. So the circumstances around me have changed. I might be eating differently, talking differently, doing different things, but the energy is exactly the same. If I'm still thinking that I'm not, that I have to do something to be better, that I'm not good enough, just regardless of where I'm at. Right. So actually, what's happening there is we've changed all of our outer stuff, but we're actually in the exact same state inside. We just might be a little bit more polished on the outside.
And this probably is one of the key answers and one of the most common reasons as to why people find themselves stuck. Because when they're fully honest with themselves, they might realize that the energy itself hasn't shifted. Maybe it shape shifted, but it's still the same shape, so to speak. It's still from unworthiness to now judging the old self rather than having kindness and compassion and love toward the self.
Yeah, you're right on there. Yeah, it's funny. I was watching a video just the other day. I happened to see this old video that I made. It was like 2012-ish, so it was quite a while ago. And I was watching it, and the thing that struck me was not how much I've changed, but I really haven't changed at all. That's what struck me. I'm like, like, feels like I'm growing and expanding all the time. But if I look back 10 years, 15 years ago, I was having the same kind of thoughts, the same excitement about growth. Like I've really I'm just sort of always the same person, but it feels different, right?
That's profound. So loving the old self and having no judgment toward that, and from that place of love stepping into the true self or the self that feels most aligned in that particular moment.
Yeah, I've got just a short story about that. I was in this is when I was in Sedona, and I was meditating every morning, having these just beautiful visions, these conversations with my spirit guides, and they would give me little assignments, right? And they were always just very short, very, very clear things. And one time they said, love yourself, just this like 2-word suggestion. And I was like, whew, okay, that 2 words, that's pretty big. Okay, I'm going to work. So that week I just, kind of used all my tools, looked at places where I wasn't loving myself. I really worked on it. And a week later, just 1 week later, this is how big my ego is, right? So I came back 1 week later in meditation and I said, I think I got it. I think I made some big progress this week. I really feel like I love myself now. And they said, good. Yeah, you're doing a good job. Now you love who you are. Okay, so next step is love who you were. And I was like, ah, much harder because they got it. I'm just loving like who I think I am today, my idea about who I am today. It's kind of like this was before social media was big, but it's kind of like if you love a photo on Instagram of yourself, it's your favorite photo. Okay, that's great, but how about loving all the photos that have ever been taken? Like, just can you fully love who you were?
And it's hard, isn't it? When I say hard, I don't want to attach a limiting story or belief to it. But when I say it can be or seemingly hard, is because there is no real tangible result-based outcome. We've been so conditioned to kind of approach the healing journey in this kind of getting better and being perceived as better from the outside. So if I'm being loving and compassionate towards myself, there isn't really there is a big result and liberation, obviously, but it's more internal, and maybe perhaps people's egos, if I can say it that way, perceive it as not really something that is important because others won't perceive that necessarily.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So surprisingly, when we make this shift, we start really loving ourselves more, everybody around notices, right? Because what's happening is we're circulating different energy. So before I was circulating love, but I was also circulating some judgment and some fear and some ideas. And so I just kind of mixed energies circulating. As I'm able to clear that out and become more coherent, where I'm like more often circulating energy of love, not 100%, but more often, people around me were noticing because they're catching my energy all the time when I'm with them. And so I had so many students and clients of theirs say something like this, where they work on themselves, they do this internal work, and they'll say, I can't believe it. What one client said, I got done doing this exercise. I got done like working on just my internal stuff. And something really surprising happened. My husband, the next time I saw him a couple hours later, he said, I don't know why, but you are just glowing. You are so sexy right now. Like, you're just amazing, right? And she's like, yeah. I didn't expect that because I was meditating and kind of clearing out some old stuff, And here's my husband's like, wow, you're hot. This is great. You're beautiful. She's like, this is great. And he doesn't talk about energy with her. He's not into the energy work stuff, but he could just feel it so strongly because she was really resonating this coherent field of love. Same thing at work. People at work will notice. Your friends will notice. Like, it's probably a lot of you have had this happen where somebody will say, something's different about you. What's different? And because you had some great experience or a great workshop over the weekend or something happened, so why you're sort of glowing, but you haven't told anybody, but they can still pick it up.
It's remarkable how let's using your language, when we are circulating a different energy, how doing the same thing is no longer the same, how it completely changes. And just to bring some bit of my personal story in there as well, what I would notice is in the past, and that's my work, is a disconnect between, for instance, I'd be coaching people or facilitating a men's group or women's group, or it doesn't matter, and I would feel on top of the world. And then I would feel tension regarding other aspects in my life or another area in my life, not in my intimate life, but another area, or something admin related, for instance, that annoyed me, that irritated me. But now I would bring that energy at home. And that energy would be circulating not during the workshop, not during the facilitation, nowhere there, but it would then circulate with those closest around me. And that really led me to reflect deeply, wait a moment, it's with those closest around me where I want to be most mindful, apart from the deeper mission and service. So would then maybe the approach to that for a person struggling with that, where there is a sense of incoherence or disconnect, as I just described, the first step I assume would be to bring kindness and compassion to that energy, to us finding ourselves in this state that we are resisting or clearly don't want to be in.
Yeah, you got it. You're right on. And yeah, you have to find compassion for yourself, and in some ways, kind of imagine if you like in this situation, like when we're teaching workshops, it's really easy to get into that beautiful vibration and state, and everybody's looking at us, like seeing us in a beautiful light. So it's easy for us to be sort of our brightest selves, and it's easy to also see all the people in the room with compassion and love, to really just I just love all the people that are here, and I'm wanting to help them and share useful information. So there's just all this beautiful energy circulating. But of course, when we do that, any heavy energies that are in us are going to start to come loose. Here's an opportunity. I'm resonating this vibration of love, resonating at these happy vibrations. So the other stuff that's kind of stuck is kind of starting to vibrate and getting ready to come off. But it's not going to happen in that situation. It's going to happen, like I said, it's going to happen when you go home. Then you go home and like all this stuff is coming off, and sort of the lights turn down, and your exhaustion's coming in, and like then all the heavy stuff that was coming loose. There's an opportunity for that to start circulating around you. And if it does, you kind of have to think like, can I see myself with the same love that I would see somebody else in this situation? If I was helping somebody or a friend or a family member who's in that situation, I would just see them and I have compassion for them and love, and know, like, tell me it's going to get better. The energy's you're going to move through this. And if I can treat myself the same way, it's going to move out and heal quickly. But if I say, what's wrong with me? I can't believe it. It's so inconsistent. Everybody thinks I'm this level, but I'm really this level, and blah, blah, blah. I start getting down on myself. All I'm doing is basically taking all the stuff that was ready to release, and then I'm bringing it back to me, right? I'm starting to circulate all this energy that it's circulating in me, but it's circulating on the way out, right? I'm releasing heavy energies. So you have to be mindful when you're releasing heavy energies to that it's okay. They're on their way out. Somehow it's remarkably easier when you think about things as energy, because you get out of your mental ideas of what's possible and not possible, and you get out of the idea that someone's to blame. Like, just all this sort of disappears. It's just energy moving. This makes it really easy to let things move.
And could this maybe explain why, let's say, people are going through a psychedelic journey, or they're going through a retreat, or they're doing a powerful breathwork journey? Whatever, they're doing something powerful, and whatever they're doing, it's getting them into a peak state. So what I'm hearing you say is, in that peak state, of course, they feel all the love, they're like expanding, and even maybe the ego will say, I'm done now, this is it, I've reached it. And then a few days later, or maybe even a week later, that kind of starts to subside, that peak state, and we feel maybe a heavy energy, or some small thing, something admin related, or something breaks in the house or whatever, or in the apartment, we start to feel this heavy energy. So basically what follows the peak is the loosening of those heavy energies, which are asking to be released.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. Yeah, because as your vibration's going up, and we can do that in a resonant field together. We can raise our vibration with each other really powerfully. People notice this. You go to church and you're singing, and or you're with friends hiking. With a group, you can really bring that vibration way up. So yeah, then the little energies that were stuck, now they can get out easily. So you'll notice them. It's not a failure that a few days later or a week later you're feeling this energy. It's like it's success, right? I asked for a great healing, but maybe I misunderstood it, that the great healing always felt wonderful. it's like great healing that it gets to wonderful, but the stuff that's coming out doesn't feel wonderful, or you wouldn't have any desire to heal it, right?
It could be that this is where a lot of people are feeling shame, and maybe, and I don't want to say teachings are failing them or teachers are failing them, assuming everyone has good intent, or most people have good intent, but it can very quickly venture into a kind of shameful perspective of ourselves, can it not? Because it's almost like, oh, if you haven't yet fully stepped into the new identity, it means whatever. It means you haven't gotten it. It means you have more healing to do. It means you have more this to do. But maybe what I'm hearing you say, and correct me if that resonates, is, well, maybe it's exactly the way it should be. It's just we're labeling this loosening of heavy energy as a total annihilating failure and meaning that we've achieved and gone nowhere. But in truth, it's just part of that journey.
Yeah, it's just part of the journey. And that's a great way to think about it, because there's, in my experience, we continue to grow and grow and grow and expand and get lighter and lighter and lighter, hopefully. This isn't, there isn't some 100% that we're reaching where it's like you said earlier, the ego wants to say, I'm there now. I got it. I'm enlightened. I got there. Well, I can tell you that's not going to happen, right? As long as you're in a body, right? Life's going to keep bringing stuff your way. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be ebbs and flows. And this is okay. The goal isn't to try to always be in a happy state or always be good or perfect. That's a completely ludicrous goal. It's just not possible. It's like saying, I'm gonna take my car and it's always going to be 100% full or 100% charged. That's my goal. You're like, well, how are you going to get anywhere, right? Because that doesn't even make sense. Are you going to have to pick your car up and carry it around then because you can't use any of the fuel or charge? So it's the same way. It's always going to be moving and flowing, and that's totally okay. Yeah.
You already touched upon that. You talked about communicating with your spirit guides. I'd love to talk a little bit more about spirits and some specific questions around that as well that become more practical as well. You mentioned you communicate with your spirit guides. How do you perceive your spirits, and also how do you understand their role and purpose in relation to humans, to this world?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. That's it's changed a lot over the years. So I'd say, when I was first communicating with guides, felt like it was sort of me asking things and then hoping I would feel something or get something, or there'd be some sign, or right. It was just seemed a lot of really one way for a while, right? And then as I started focusing on the energy of things instead of the physicality of things, I started noticing, there is a lot of information coming in. There's a lot of synchronicities happening. There's a lot of even silly things. Like I walked into a bookstore one time, and this book literally fell off the shelf in front of me and landed at my feet, and I picked it up. And all I saw was the title, which was not even an interesting title. And I was like, this book looks really good. I was telling my friend, this is really enthusiasm. I'm like, something weird's going on here with me, right? And I was like, okay, so this is the universe providing, saying, hey, focus on this, right? I picked the book up, I read it. It was one of the most opening books for me ever. It was just fantastic, right? And it was called End Times by Krenn. So way back, it was a prediction kind of book. So information started coming in that way, right? Then the more I practiced and I got quiet, then it started noticing all of a sudden it started becoming voices. And then once I got through sort of the basic questions, if you start talking to your guides, to be honest, I was in my late 20s. So the questions I was asking weren't exactly enlightened questions, right? So I'd be asking things like, does that girl like me? Right? How's the stock doing? Right? So it's funny, but if you have this great ability to talk to your guides, it's not like suddenly you're going to become a different person. You're going to have the same concerns and desires and fixate on the same things as before, right?
Did they help you on the stocks?
Everything. They're amazing. Stocks, dating tips, everything. And but over time, things get a little more interesting. Start getting the important questions, like you asked, who are you? What does this mean? I'm talking to something that seems to have answers beyond what I have, and they seem to be right most of the time, and they seem to have a lot more broad perspective and love, and that there's no judgment, and that I have to do something, and there's just this completely different perspective, right? And like I said, it changed a lot over time. Eventually, over the years, I started asking the questions like, are you, I'm talking to my guides, and be like, are you actually me? Am I just talking to myself? And then the guides are like, oh, now you're getting to the good stuff, right? We're not talking about girls and cars and, whatever, mundane stuff you wanted to know about. But now we're talking about the really interesting stuff. What's going on behind the curtains? And they said, yes and no. From the perspective of the material world, where there's separation and physicality, no, we're not you. From the perspective of the spirit world, where everything is one, and we're talking about vibrations and fields and consciousness, then yes, we're the same. And so that's what things started to get really, really interesting and really deep, really fast. Yeah, if you haven't had that experience talking to your guides, I really uh, recommend like playing with it in a fun and easy way. And just know that the barrier that we feel initially, some people are able to do it just like this, but if you're not, it doesn't mean you're failing, right? So I was like that. I couldn't get anything at first. But what's happening is you're actually your attention is going to the unconscious energy that's between you, your current state of awareness, and the state of awareness that you would have to be communicating consciously. And I say that because you're always communicating with your guides all the time. This communication's happening. You're just not conscious of it because there's a layer of unconscious energy around you. It's kind of the barrier of your what you believe to be you. And the more times you touch that unconscious energy, the thinner and thinner and thinner it'll get, and eventually it'll disappear. And suddenly you're having conversations you didn't know were possible. And so, unfortunately, what we tend to do is like our awareness goes and hits unconscious energy, and we just sort of like we're trying, focusing. And then as soon as it hits this unconscious energy, it just sort of goes off somewhere else. We forget where we were doing. We fall asleep. It's like when you're meditating and you fall asleep. This is what's happening, right? You expand up to your unconscious energy. You hit it. You go unconscious. You fall asleep. That's called success. So keep doing that over and over. Keep bumping into this unconscious energy, and it will naturally fade away because the more times you touch it, the more you're moving it, changing it, and coming through. But most people think it's failure. Not, and if you see it as failure, you'll stop trying. If you know that, oh, I'm actually succeeding, and you keep going.
And is there always a kind of hierarchy in the sense of first you can't really ask the guides questions, but then as you lean in, you can directly communicate? Or could it also be that some people just communicate with their spirit guides in a different way, maybe in a more intuitive, body somatic way, rather than specifically communicating? Is there a difference, or is it the same for everyone?
It's actually different for everybody. So we all have the same capabilities, but some of us are naturally good at one part of intuition or energy work, and some of us are naturally good at other parts. And so, like for me, clairaudience has always been uh, kind of easier for me. Like I can hear things easier than I can see things, and so being able to see things took more practice. But at first, when we practice visualizing, I just saw nothing. And I could imagine I was visualizing things, but that's different than visualizing things.
And I think that's a key, isn't it? That we imagine we're speaking to a spirit guide, but it's kind of in communication with our own ego.
Yeah. And this just takes some practice, right? And it takes maybe just a little bit of humility and a desire to grow and some curiosity and that and lack of self-judgment, right? To know that like even now when I'm tuning into things, I know that sometimes I'm just going to hear what I want to hear. So if you're talking to your guides or you're tuning into your intuition and it's always validating you, telling you how smart you are and how great your ideas are, kind of like using ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If you notice that like the first month or 2 months of ChatGPT is super fun because you're like, it gets me, I'm the smartest person ever. And then you realize, okay, wait a second here. It's telling everybody now.
Yes.
It's just optimized for building a relationship, right? So the same thing happens. You got to start noticing if my intuition's always telling me I'm right, always telling me what I want to hear, that's not intuition. That's called wishful thinking. And it's very different. Doesn't mean you don't have intuition, just means your expectation, needs to be level set a little bit, like adjust a little bit and say, I want to know what's actually going on, not just what I want to hear, right? Because I tell you, when I started talking to my guides really deeply, the answer is almost always surprising in its depth. It might be just a few words, like I said, love who you are, and then love who you were. It's just a few words, but the depth behind it is like, whoa! They just gave me, you know, this entire teaching on how energy works and how our ego and our minds work and everything, just with a change of one word.
The guides give us what our soul needs, And ChatGPT gives us a cookie for our ego, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's okay. It's, if you're having fun and you're tuning in and you've got curiosity and it's causing you to like try some things you might not have tried before, it's building your confidence. There's nothing wrong with any of this. It's just all part of the process. But the more you can have fun with it and be curious instead of serious, the more it's going to continue to expand and grow. And we learn to discern, not outside but inside. Is this feeling I'm getting just because I need it to be that way, or can I expand and see what I want and also what's real?
In shamanism, but also in other traditions, you hear of shadow entities. Some call it demons, some call it dark forces. How do you describe that phenomena? What is your perspective of that?
Well, I'd say a couple of things. One, dark is just the lack of light. So it's not an active quality. Actually, I could pull a parable from it. Maybe it was in that Krenn book years ago. Is like when you walk in a room and you hit the light switch, the room is dark. You hit the switch, the light comes on. But if you're in a room that's light, there's no dark switch you can hit. You can't go in and hit a dark switch and then all the light is like snuffed out, right? So you don't have to really be afraid of darkness, right? Because you can just be light and the light will flood into all that space. But when you said it, it actually reminded me like years ago. This was, I was still working as a software engineer and I got this invitation to come to Uganda as first time. I went there twice, about maybe 5 years apart. So this was right around Y2K. And I was just traveling with a friend and with her friends and family and so on. And we went into this, we're walking by our house and these gates opened up at this big kind of estate, right? And we walked in and I was like, just surprised. And then we went around and she said, "Oh, this is Idi Amin's old vacation space, right?" And I was like, "Oh, wow, really?" Huh. And I said, "And they just let people walk in here?" And she said, "No, they don't let anybody in here. But I don't know, when you walked up, they opened the door and let us in." And I'm like, "Okay, I don't know either because I don't know anything about this. I'm just some random white guy walking through." And we walked in. We were standing on some of the ruins because everything was kind of crumbled at that point. And I was looking down at the lake. It's right off this lake, and I said, "Whoa, what is going on over there?" There's this like amazing vortex of energy, and then there's all these kind of like scary pictures in it of all this dark stuff. And my friend, she said, "Oh, that's the place that," she said, "the locals here, they won't go to that place because there's rumors that there were like human sacrifices or things like, something really scary happening there." And I was like, "Well, then I got to check it out. This is pretty exciting. Like, let's go check the energy, right?" And I went, no fear of this, right? Because it's just energy. Everything's energy. And I walked up with my two friends and it was the first time I saw it, like right in the air above me. I've never seen this before. I could see this words, kind of these like gold words, or like sparkling, and it said, "Beware, evil lurks within." Right? And I just started laughing. Right? I was like, "Ooh, evil lurks within." Right? And I was like, "All right, well let's just see what we can do here," right? So I just started grounding the area, just cleaning the energy up, because this is like what I could see is this is a really beautiful natural vortex of energy here. And then somebody had just kind of stuck these scary messages out, right? So I just started cleaning them off, cleaning the energy, making it move. And I didn't really notice what was happening until I started getting wet. And then I looked around me and all these storm clouds had come in and it was like it was pouring rain. I was doing the energy work and I was just kind of lost my own space, just moving all this energy out, just clearing all this so that people could start using this beautiful energy again. It was just stuck because not only was there somebody had put some energy there to scare people, but the locals, everybody around there was still believing that there was some truth to it. And so that was continuing to circulate this sort of like dark energy, right? This evil energy. But all it was nothing. It was just ideas, right? So I cleared all that out. And then my friends were laughing because one of my friends was standing back and he said, "Yeah, I've never seen anything that," he said, "I wish I had a video because like the sky got dark and came and then like it rained and then everything parted and cleared and there was sunshine." He's like, "It looked like some kind of crazy movie." And I didn't think much of it. But 5 years later, I came back, I visited the same friend. We were walking through and And she said, "Oh, I never followed up with you, but there's a school there now. They built a school on the property. They cleared it off, built a school, and there's like this. I don't remember if it was a fountain, but they had made something right in that place that used to be the scariest spot that nobody wanted to go in." And she said, just cleaning the energy now. They're actually utilizing that big vortex of energy. And yeah, and I was just super happy because I didn't have any intention. I was just a tourist, but I happened to be there and saw the energy and didn't take it seriously.
And is that perhaps what strengthens or what identifies us with that darkness, or what pulls us into it? It is taking it serious, it is identifying with it, and it is fearing it ultimately that gives it its power.
Yeah, well, it's I would say that it's looking at the stories rather than the energy. So stories can be very scary. So here's a story about the history. Here's a story about a person. Here's a story about something that happened. All of that can create a lot of fear and tension. It's easy to focus on that. It's something tangible. I think everybody can agree on. You can tell the story, and other people can tell the same story, and so on. But if you look at the energy, it's completely different. So instead of, and this works on a big scale, or kind of like the one I described, but it also works on a small scale. Like if you're talking to a friend and you notice yourselves getting down on something or somebody else that's not there, just notice like, what are we talking about? Are we talking about this? Are we just talking about the story? Or are we talking about some energy underneath? I love to make this shift. When I find myself being negative in some way, I notice it and then say, okay, I'm just stuck in some story. And then, what else is happening? Same thing we said before. Just let my awareness expand. What's happening beyond the story? Oh, really interesting. This story is happening because this energy is stuck over here and it's not circulating. That's why I'm fixated on this part. If I'm fixated on this part of the stories, I can't see the energy. I can't change it. I can't start circulating something different.
So the story would be a person's consciousness is hijacked by a dark or evil entity. That would be the story. That is scary, that is fearful. I'm a victim. I need to protect myself. I need to guard my energy. All of it only inducing more fear and getting us, so to speak, in a negative vibration. But if we switch out of that in your own words and look at the energy, it speaks a different language.
If there's if it has to do with other people, sometimes it helps to remember that somebody that's causing pain and confusion and like sort of spreading it in the world, there's only one reason that ever happens, is that pain and confusion is circulating within them. Because it's circulating within them, just like if joy was circulating within them, it's resonating out and carrying to other people, right? And if fear and confusion is, if somebody's circulating that and it's resonating to other people, that's going to create a lot of scary, confusing stories about what's going on in the world, and it's easy to fixate on those and miss the fact that there's another human in pain and confusion. I can't imagine how much they must be hurting to be, creating this pain and confusion in the world. That person's really hurting inside. Like suddenly, when you see the energy, automatically you have compassion for the other person. It doesn't make all their, necessarily make their actions acceptable or desirable, but you can still put that aside and look at the energy of the person and the human and say, I have compassion for them. I hope they feel better.
What, from your perception, what happens to someone who is circulating this dark energy or fearful energy and doesn't become aware of it? And what happens when they die?
It depends, but if they're really fixated on something, like if we're really fixated on something and we die, well, we tend to stay fixated on that. I spent a lot of years working with ghosts. Probably worked, at some point now I've probably helped more people than ghosts, but for a long time I'd helped more ghosts than people. Right? And it was kind of always the same story. So, if I found a ghost, or if somebody felt like they had a being inside them, like they were possessed in some way, or, so what we do is just, find the energy of that spirit, that person who had died. And the script is really simple. I'd first say, I actually learned this, I was going to school for this, oddly enough. And the script is really simple. So I'd just say like, hi, I can see you. And then usually that's like, oh, well, okay. So I just got a hello. Nobody said hello to me because I don't have a body anymore. The ghost is kind of surprised. And then start chatting a little bit, hey, what do you want? What's up? Then at some point I'd say, "Did you know that you're dead?" What? Because right where they are is they're stuck on something right here. Like I said, just looking around, like they're fixated on whatever energy they couldn't let go of in life. The story that they had that was so strong they couldn't let go of it is still there when they die, and that's why they're hanging out here around the planet because they don't need to be, right? And so just saying hello to them, saying another thing I'd ask is what year is it? And then they'll be like 1995, and I'm like, it's actually 2026 right now. So just pushing that picture back a bit. What? Yeah. Did you know you died? What? The picture's getting further and further away, right? And as you do this, and then it's like, okay, so did you notice the big light up there? Did you see that? Oh, like that's your next step. Like you don't have to stay stuck in the story. Usually that's enough. Just seeing that it doesn't like I'm not asking them what bad things they do, why are they hurting somebody, how do I protect them, how do I attack them? Like none of that matters. It's just what's happening with the energy. Just like people that are alive, they're still stuck on some picture, some information, some story. So just help put a little distance there, show them a next step, and have compassion. Almost always, boom, they go.
And this differs very much from the spirit guides who are helping humans evolve in consciousness. So one is stuck on the kind of human plane, and the other is perhaps, if we can say so, consciously choosing to support humanity.
Yeah, very different. Yeah, ghosts are basically just like stuck people that didn't, they haven't noticed yet that they died. I mean, occasionally I bumped into ghosts that knew they were dead, but that was very rare. They'd have to be really upset about something to still stick around.
There's so much more I want to ask you, but I want to finalize with one question here. We hear about people going through some kind of astral journey or having very powerful out of body experiences. Is there a danger there? Not danger in the sense of, oh, an evil entity will come. That's the story, yeah. But is there a risk with going too much out of the body and kind of losing one's own center?
How do I describe that? Well, first thing I would say is it's a lot of fun, like traveling out of body, doing all these things, like super fun. I can get it. I got into that and played with that, for a while. But I would also say there's no information out there that you need. Everything you need is in here, in your life, in the present moment. So it's basically just it's kind of it's interesting to notice your capabilities are greater than you thought they were. So that's really powerful, really expanding. But it's always going to be more powerful to just be back here in your body in this present moment. Just breathing, feeling the chair you're sitting on, feeling your feet on the floor, touching your hands, doing something to bring you back to the moment. Is going to be much more effective in your life because if you're not here, if you're spread out all over the place with your energy and attention, it's hard to do simple things, right? That's why when if you're walking to the bathroom at night, sometimes I'll just bump my shoulder into the wall because I'm not really in my body, right? You don't want to walk around in life like that. So, is there a danger? A little bit. You're not going to have as much fun. You're not going to be very effective, but there isn't a danger like existential danger, like that you're harming yourself. I would say it's kind of like sometimes I like to go to Disneyland and just ride the rides and have a lot of fun, but I don't want to ride them all day, every day for the rest of my life. I want to come back and then be in my life and focus on kind of the here and now. Same kind of thing.
I love that it kind of brings the conversation full circle. That the real power ultimately lies in the present and in this moment, and this is where the answers are. And that also it's very practical. I always like to say that the spiritual journey is quite paradoxically extremely practical.
It is, yeah. If you want to make a lot of change or be really productive at work or in your relationships and so on, just focus more on being present. Letting it be okay that your heavy energies are releasing, like we mentioned earlier, and let yourself expand more and see what's beyond the stories I'm hearing. And all of a sudden you'll notice that, I'm connecting more with other people. I'm resonating with them in a way I didn't realize it was before. And the same life is being lived with a different feeling of being present, a different awareness, a different fullness to it than you, and you didn't change anything on the outside. same job, same relationship, same haircut, but all of a sudden you're experiencing it in a much richer way. And that's going to lead to new conversations and job opportunities. And, I mean, everything feels like it opens up when you're in that state.
Because you're participating in this life fully. I presume you are here, quite literally. And I suppose the outer body experiences can become a form of running away from this present moment life, because the heavy energies will most likely come up in the present moment and not when we're going out of the body and kind of visualizing.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like I've tried any thing you can imagine that's like far out there, or I love trying all this stuff. It's really nice, but it's also nice to kind of come home to the present moment, to the body. That's where the fulfillment comes. Yeah, it's not out there. You don't have to chase it. Just come right back here and find it.
Jeffrey, where can people connect with you and find your work?
Yeah, so you can find me on my website, imjeffreyallen.com. You can also find me on spiritmind.com. That's the website that I and the teaching that I have with my wife, Isami. If you guys are interested, there's this beautiful little 5-day course that I just made that's all experiential, about kind of awareness and easy ways to be present in the moment. So it's like 5 different ways to be present and to come back to the moment. And it's very simple. It's like maybe 2 minutes a day, just a little tool, and then you just practice throughout the day. And that's kind of the best tool that I've created recently. It's really fun just because it's all experiential. No lectures, no information, just doing it.
I love that, because it has to be simple, because ultimately the truth is simple, isn't it? It has to be simple. If it's complex, it brings us back into the mind.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what this is called. 5 days to calm your mind and meet your spirit.
Thank you for being here. If you haven't yet subscribed to the show, I invite you to do so you never miss the next episode. It's a true honor to be of service in your journey. Jeffrey so kindly offered a free gift, which we have linked in the episode description. And there you will also find more information about Jeffrey's work and social media channels. Thank you for being here.